All right, we've got some breaking Las Vegas Raiders news for you guys. Obviously, the most important position battle the entire offseason and training camp and preseason is the quarterback position between Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. And head coach Antonio Pierce and the entire Raiders leadership team has made a decision. They are going with Gardner Minshew to be the starting quarterback. There's a lot to dig into here. We're going to cover it on the other side. But first, I'm Nick, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, this news is obviously going to send shockwaves through Raider Nation. First, let's go ahead and pull up the official report so we can dive into some commentary on the other side. This is courtesy of NBC Sports, but it's been validated by pretty much everybody at this point. Raiders head coach Antonio Pierce named Gardner Minshew the team's starting quarterback in his Sunday video conference. A lot of things went into it. It wasn't based on the preseason game last night. There's a lot of factors, Pierce said, mentioning that he, general manager Tom Telesco, and offensive coordinator Luke Getsy discussed the decision this morning. So we feel like Gardner gives us the best opportunity to get off to a fast start, and that's who we're going with. We support him, our team's opportunity, our staff's behind it, the organization's behind it. Minshew's experience was one of the deciding factors, Pierce said. All right, this is obviously a really radical pivot. All indications for most of the offseason was that O'Connell was the favorite to be the guy that has reversed course. Of course, O'Connell did not have a particularly solid game against the Dallas Cowboys in the preseason game. But regardless, the decision has been made. It will be Gardner Minshew. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. But first, Raiders fans, in the comment section below, what do you think of this decision by Antonio Pierce? Are you a Gardner Minshew guy? Do you think it's the right move? Do you think it's the wrong move? Let us know all your thoughts, all your feelings, your vibes, everything about this big time decision by the Las Vegas Raiders. Obviously, it's earth shattering. It basically will set the course for at least the first half of their season. But Miles, I will throw it over to you. What are your first thoughts when you heard this news?
Yeah, Nick, I think it's interesting, definitely surprising if you go off of we've done plenty of videos, we've covered plenty of stories of them basically leaning towards Aiden O'Connell, as you had said. But it's surprising, but when you think about it in the way that Antonio Pierce worded it, it makes sense, I guess, for the direction they're going for the team. I was under the opinion they were going more towards like, let's build the future of the team. Let's get things rolling. Like it might be a slow burn. We're gonna ease our way out or into it. But from the wording he says in the article, he says Minshew will give us the fastest start. It sounds like they think they have a team that is ready to go and win now. And in a tough division with the Chiefs and the Chargers, it's going to be tough to get out of there. But if they think Gardner Minshew, what I take from this is they say Gardner Minshew is the guy to give them the chance to go out and compete with the Chargers, with the Chiefs, potentially win that division or at least win a playoff spot. I think they're saying that Gardner Minshew is a guy who can make the big plays and do the things they need with the players they have to put this team on the map. So when I hear this decision, when I hear all of these things, I think that the heads at the Raiders have gotten together and said, hey, we think that Gardner Minshew can take us to the playoffs. So that's what I get when I hear this news.
Yeah, so just to go deep into the stats from the game against the Dallas Cowboys, Aiden O'Connell's stat line was quite terrible. 14 of 20 for 96 yards, one touchdown, and of course that pick six, a disastrous turnover. Gardner's Minshew's numbers weren't exactly much better. 10 of 21 for 95 yards and 4.5 yards per attempt. No touchdowns, no interceptions. Neither quarterback registered an official sack against their record. Excuse me. Obviously, those of you who watched the game, it was kind of an ugly game offensively for the Raiders overall. But I do think you bring up an interesting point about the Raiders feeling like they're a good team. I'll give you another reason to think about this, right? You bring in Tom Telesco, guy coming from the Chargers, and Justin Herbert. I guarantee you conversations between Pierce, Telesco, and throw in Luke Getsy as well, a guy who's coached first-round quarterbacks, whether it's Justin Fields, Aaron Rodgers, most famously. And he says, listen, is Aiden O'Connell, young Aiden O'Connell, is he closer to Rodgers or Herbert, or is he closer to Justin Fields, right? If he has a potential to be the Rodgers-Herbert elite, you ride with him. You roll the dice, right? But if you're worried he's Justin Fields, like Luke Getsy coached in the Chicago Bears, then maybe we go Gardner Minshew. And I think that was a conversation that was had behind the scenes because it's a Raiders team that's got a lot of talent, right? It's one of those weird things in the NFL sphere right now. Everyone's talking about teams that are up and coming and getting really excited about. But the Raiders, just in terms of roster on paper, are really good. They got a top 5 receiver, top 3 edge rusher, secondary that's a lot better than people give him credit for, offensive line that I think is going to be better than people give him credit for. Malcolm Kuntz is a breakout star. Linebacking core is a lot better than, a lot of people expected coming into the season. Tight ends, playmakers, right? This is a very, very good team in terms of roster, in terms of the energy they're getting, right? There are teams like the Chargers who, not to dismiss the Chargers, but are given much more hype and attention, but have just a shadow of the roster of the Las Vegas Raiders. And I think Antonio Pierce and Telesco realize that, right? They're like, hey, listen, we know because of our roster, we're not going to be a top 3 pick, right? We're too good. Whether it's with Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew, we're not going to go 3-14, right? We're either going to go 6-11 to 11-6. That's sort of our range there, we think. Which quarterback gives us the best chance to go 11-6? Because if we go 6-11, we're not going to be in a position to pick the best quarterback anyway, right? So that's why I think this is a smart move by the Raiders if they believe that Aiden O'Connell is not Justin Herbert, not Aaron Rodgers, in terms of that level of franchise quarterback, if he's closer to a backup. And look, I think that's what they've determined. And to give all credit, to Gardner Minshew, he's had not a terrible preseason, not a terrible minicamp. And Aiden O'Connell, he was given the opportunities and he didn't step up to the plate.
Yeah, Nick, and I think one last thing that I think when I see this team is when you start to put the pieces together. This is a team defensively, they got a lot of pieces now. There's a lot of good players around the ball. Offensively, you add the addition of Brock Bowers. I think maybe you consider Devontae Adams in here a little bit as well. This is a guy who came to Las Vegas to win a championship. He's a big vocal factor on this team. You see him on the sidelines and some like behind the scenes footage for certain games and stuff. This is a guy who's disappointed. He doesn't want to lose. He wants to be on a winning team. So I think everybody's thinking that Gardner Minshew, like you said, gives them the best chance right now to go out there and win. Whether it makes them hit the playoffs or not, it's to be determined. But I think you are right when you're saying they're going to either stick with O'Connell, but the only reason they do that is if they thought that he was capable of becoming that guy. If they thought, well, we're not sure, or he's not, then they're probably just going to say, okay, let's just go ahead and cut ties. Let's not go ahead and waste our time. We don't want to put all of this stock into a guy like O'Connell. So I think this is a really interesting move by the Raiders. I think the Raiders have a lot of things going good for them, and I'm excited to see how Minshew pans out because, if nothing else, he's an extremely exciting quarterback to watch when he's on the field. For better or for worse, this is a guy that is going to make the Raiders offense probably a lot more dynamic than Aiden O'Connell.